That's what the coaches did to me. They switched out every 2 minutes to keep their stamina. CPR is important because it withstands the time until the AED gets back. You would just turn it on and it would analyze, and then it would advise a shock, so everybody would have to back away. You would advise a shock, and then you would continue doing compressions. The CPR keeps you alive. The AED is what shocks your heart back to rhythm to save your life. That's what happened to me.
Stay clear of patient. Analyzing. Shock advised.
When I saw them starting CPR, the worst thought of a mother went through my mind. The only reason that you start CPR is because the heart stopped. And all I could think of was that I was going to lose my son that day.
There are times when a child or adolescent takes a hit to the chest, and at that point can actually have an instant cardiac arrest.
It's like 1 in a million.
Initially, the coaches thought that he just had the wind knocked out of it. They took his helmet off, they checked for a pulse, and started compressions.
My other coach grabbed the AED and he put it on me, and he was trained like a week before that.
It is ever so important at that moment in time that someone is there to be able to jump in and perform CPR.
The biggest thing that we learned, I think, is that our school was prepared. 6 days before Spencer's incident, 2 of the coaches were trained in CPR. If our school didn't take that initiative, then,
We all just assumed that it was required. Cardiac arrest is the leading cause of death among high school athletics, and no one knows what to do. They're not prepared.
We've learned a lot about hands-only CPR.
And we've heard stories where there's an AED hanging on the wall and people are afraid of it and they don't use it.
We're finding out that a lot of schools don't have AEDs. We're finding out that a lot of schools are having minimum requirements of people being trained in CPR.
The AED saved my life, but my coaches did CPR on me until the AED was there because they knew CPR gives your body the oxygen it needs to function.
The first day Spencer was allowed to get up out of bed and start walking, he said, "Mom, why did this happen?" I said, "I don't know, but we can do 2 things. We can dwell on this or we can make changes." And immediately he said, "We need to make sure that everybody is prepared for the same outcome that I've had."
And this is how my life was saved. If I can save a life, that's my goal.
Kids are kids and they're out playing, and they can be anywhere when such an incident can happen. And then be able to say, such as in Spencer's case, a trainer, a coach is able to save this child's life. Wow. That's what we want every child and adult to have access to.
An AED is not required in schools. That just blows my mind.
Education is everything. Spencer is here because somebody at the American Heart Association trained and educated our coaches.
Knowing that my life was saved by my coaches, non-medical professionals, it just showed my teammates that they're willing to get trained and willing to make a difference.
This game that he's playing now is important because he's trying to help others. That's the kind of teammate I want to pick me up if I'm down.
As nurses, physicians, therapists, healthcare workers, we train on how to perform CPR and do it successfully. But what helps us is when in the community, if there is a sudden cardiac arrest, that there's a bystander there that's able to quickly step in.
Knowing that the American Heart Association are out there and people are being trained to save a life, we can't put a price tag on that.
Spencer was able to meet some people that had incredible stories just like his, and we would have never met those people if it wasn't for the American Heart Association.
Research gives hope to finding cures and better treatments for tomorrow, and we have an obligation to give hope.
Hands only. Get in there and do those compressions. The difference between doing them and not doing them is a life.
I don't know if I knew I would get this deep into what we're doing, but it's definitely the right cause. It just shows that there's obstacles in life and you just have to take it and run with it and do things that you would never think you would.